Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with your afternoon streaming show. I want to start with something that I know is a little bleak, a little grim here, but I hope it gets your attention. When you look at what kind of weather kills the most people, it's heat. Looking at 2024, which is the last year we have data for, along with the averages over the past 10 or even 30 years, the ones down here at the bottom, they kind of change, go up and down depending on what kind of weather events we've had in a particular year. But one thing that remains the same consistently year after year after year is that heat kills more Americans than any other type of weather. So we are on alert for heat. Dangerous heat now all the way to the end of the week. And again, a lot of folks may be quick to dismiss this as it's summer. Of course, it's hot. This is not typical summertime heat, especially with the humidity that we're dealing with right now. This is dangerous and can even be deadly heat if you don't take the proper precautions. So please take this seriously. Heat deaths are very avoidable, but unfortunately, they are something that happens every year. This is a massive heat wave. It doesn't just spread across several days, it also spreads across several states. So we have heat alerts that stretch from the northern border here up in the Great Lakes and on over, into the Canadian border there, and then all the way down to the Gulf Coast as well. So from the northern edge of the states all the way down to the southern edge as well, and then from as far over as Nebraska and Kansas east all the way to the East Coast as well. So this is, basically the whole eastern half of the United States under these heat alerts right now, and the tri-state is caught right in the middle of this massive heat wave. So the entire tri-state, our whole region, all lit up in this bright pink here for an extreme heat warning, and we're under that extreme heat warning until 8 p.m. on Friday. So this heat is going to be dangerous all the way through the end of this week. That's when the worst of it will be over, but I'll warn you, it's still going to be pretty steamy even into Independence Day weekend, even though technically the extreme heat warning ends on the 3rd. Satellite and radar right now showing mostly sunny skies across the tri-state. There are a few clouds out there. It's going to be mostly sunny and most likely dry through the rest of today and tomorrow too. By Thursday and Friday, though, we'll start to see some more isolated rain chances creeping in. As for our temperatures, sitting in the low to mid 90s right now. It's 90 degrees even in Newburgh, Owensboro, and Henderson. Evansville sitting at 91 right now, but it feels like we're in the triple digits. The heat index currently sitting at 104 in Henderson. Evansville and Owensboro both sitting at 106 right now, and it feels so much hotter. 10 to even 15 degrees hotter than it actually is because of the humidity. Our dew points are in the upper 70s right now. The dew point is 78 in Evansville and Henderson. And, for many of you that may not mean much, but just to give you some perspective on it here, that means the Muggy meter is maxed out. Dew points in the upper 70s means there's an unbelievable amount of moisture in the air right now. So this is, beyond just humid or muggy. This is stifling. This is miserable. This is soupy air you can wear kind of humidity. And that makes it feel hotter than it actually is because your body's natural system for cooling itself down is very dependent on your sweat evaporating. And when there's already so much moisture in the air, there's nowhere for that sweat to go. Air's already full of water. There's nowhere for your sweat to go. It cannot evaporate, so it just clings to you. So your body is trying to cool itself off. It's sweating, and you just end up drenched in sweat and not getting any cooler. And so at that point, it makes it feel hotter than it actually is, but also it increases the risk of you dealing with heat-related illnesses, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, things like that, because your body can't get its temperature regulated if your sweat cannot evaporate it. Checking in on the comments here. Good afternoon, Suzanne, Jeanette, Amy. Zach is asking about severe thunderstorms. We don't have any severe thunderstorms in the forecast, Zach. We do have some chances for some showers and maybe a few thunderstorms, but we're not forecasting severe weather at this time. moving forward with the rest of our afternoon, I still think we'll climb another degree or two into the low to mid 90s. And again, that heat index is still going to climb a few more degrees as well. Overnight tonight, not a whole lot of relief from the heat. We'll still be in the 80s for most of the night, just briefly dipping into the mid 70s late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So it's still going to be very warm and muggy even after the sun goes down. Keep in mind our dew points are in the 70s. When your temperature and your dew point are the same, the air becomes saturated, and that's when you get fog. With clear skies and calm winds, as our temperatures start to drop into the 70s, I do think it is possible the air could become saturated and we could get some patchy fog out there late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Not a widespread issue, but just something to be aware of. Then tomorrow, basically a rinse and repeat of today. It's going to be sunny, it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid. Temperatures will climb into the low to maybe even mid 90s again, and that heat index will be well into the triple digits. Looking at our daily heat risk. So we've got, today, tomorrow, Thursday, up here in the reds or even purple shades at times. So that's a major to even extreme risk of heat-related illnesses, with heat index values up 106 to maybe even 110 to 112. So again, dangerously hot through the middle of this week. By Friday, heat index still up into those triple digits. We start to see a little bit of relief though, a little bit more of that orange creeping into the map. That's still a level 2 risk, a moderate risk of heat-related illnesses though, all the way up into the 4th of July. Notice we do see some relief from the heat, but the heat index will still probably get into the low triple digits even into Independence Day there. The reason, even though we've got triple digit heat index, the reason the extreme heat warning ends on Friday is because 105 is kind of the magic number here. If the heat index gets to 105 or higher, that's when you're in what's considered to be kind of the danger zone. Past 105, there's this huge increase in the risk of things like sunstroke, heat cramps, or heat exhaustion, and even heat stroke becomes more possible, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not hydrating, if you're outside for too long, or doing a lot of strenuous activity, hard work, physical activity in the hottest part of the day. That's where you really start running into these problems. That's if you get to 105 or higher. We're expected to get over 105 every single day this week through Friday. By Saturday, it's still going to be really hot and really humid for Independence Day, but the heat index is expected to peak closer to 102 or 103. Still hot, but just outside of that extreme danger zone that we're going to be sitting in for most of this week. So for the rest of this week and even into this weekend, please just use some common sense heat safety. All right, I'm talking about strenuous activity, physical activity, something that's going to have you sweating and get your heart rate going. That needs to be reduced, canceled, or moved to the coolest time of day, late in the evening or very early in the morning. Wear lightweight, light colored clothing. Black absorbs heat, white reflects heat, right? You want to wear lighter clothes so that that heat is reflected away from you instead of being absorbed and stored there on your body. Drink lots of water. This is a big one. Water or non-alcoholic fluids. If you're not a water drinker, I can understand that, but drink juice or Gatorade or Powerade, something that's going to still help hydrate you. And this is, don't wait till you feel thirsty. If you're thirsty, that's your body telling you that you need water, okay? You want to get ahead of it. Drink some water even before you feel thirsty to keep yourself hydrated. And this is one that's easy to sneak up on you here. Don't get too much sun. Sunburn makes heat dissipation that much more difficult. A lot of folks are going to be headed to the pools, understandably, trying to cool off with all this hot weather. We're headed into a holiday weekend. Lots of folks are going to be out by the pool. That's a good way to cool off, but don't forget your sunscreen. And don't forget, even though you're in the water, also take breaks out drinking some water too, right? Hydrate and wear your sunscreen because if you get sunburnt, you're just making your body's job that much harder. It's trying to regulate its temperature and keep itself cool. It's already going to struggle in this kind of heat and humidity. Throw in a sunburn and you're really just making it that much harder on yourself. Yeah, Jeanette says, just weed eated my yard, took 10 minutes and I was soaking wet. I broke a sweat just walking from my car in the parking lot into the station today. Yeah, it is miserably hot out there. And good afternoon to you as well, Carolyn. For those of you curious about Independence Day, I know there's a lot of plans, circulating around Independence Day there. It's a big one, 250 years, right? Here's what we're looking at so far. We're still a few days out, working on some details, but it does look like it's still going to be hot and humid. Like I said, highs in the low 90s. Heat index is probably still going to get about 10 degrees hotter than that, probably peaking around 102 to 103 in many locations. So again, just outside of that kind of extreme danger zone, but still you're going to want to be mindful of taking breaks, drinking water, sitting in the shade, right? Don't spend all day just baking in the sun. It will be at least partly cloudy that day, and there is this isolated chance of rain. We're not talking about a total washout here, but it's going to be that kind of typical summertime pattern we oftentimes see, where in the heat of the day you get these little showers and storms that just kind of bubble up. It's hard to know where exactly they're going to pop up or how long they're going to last. It's not some big cold front where you've got a line of storms that push through and then they're gone. It's just these very spotty showers and storms that bubble up in the heat of the day and then just kind of rain themselves back out. So if you are hosting or attending some kind of Independence Day celebration, something to keep in mind is maybe have somewhere folks can move indoors, not only to escape the heat, but also if a thunderstorm does pop up, be able to move the party inside for a little while, wait out the thunder and lightning, and then you can go back out once the storm has passed. Again, also keep in mind thunder. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to get struck by the lightning. So even if it's not raining where you are yet, if you're out and about here over the next few days and you hear some thunder, you need to stop what you're doing and move inside. We are rounding out June today. Really, our June has not been terribly hot until just very recently. We had one little stretch of 90s here from the 9th to the 11th, and then we've been in the 90s for the past 3 days here. But other than that, it's really been a pretty mild summer so far. It has been kind of stormy this past week, though. We had several tornadoes and lots of rain and flooding earlier this past week. From Thursday to Sunday of this past week, we saw our greatest 4-day rainfall total since 1996, 30 years since we had that much rain in just 4 days. And some areas farther to the north of Evansville, places like Gibson and Pike counties, where you guys had more like 10 inches of rain, that's like a once every 200 year kind of event. So they had some major flooding up that way. On the upside, we finally made up our rainfall deficit. Unfortunately, we did it in a very short period of time, so it came with flooding. Typically, we would see this kind of rain spread out over several days, weeks, or even months. We were running short on rain for the month. That has certainly changed. We now have a 6-inch surplus of rain for the month, and we've made up our deficit for the year, too. We had a very dry spring. We were in drought for most of the spring, and so we were really running short on rain, not just for the month, but for the year. In general, we had a deficit of like 7.5 inches of rain that we were short so far this year. Well, we made that up here over the weekend. So actually, even though the first half of the month was fairly dry, this month is going to end as our second wettest June on record. Can you believe that? 2026 going on the record books here as the second wettest June on record. The only year that beat us was 1900, where we had 11.44 inches of rain in Evansville. As you go down the list here, notice the fifth year here, 1996, 7.78 inches of rain. That's less rain than we had just in the past Thursday to Sunday stretch here. So really an unbelievable rainfall event over this past weekend. Moving forward, I mentioned the heat, right? We're on alert for heat today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Then we start to see a bit of a downward trend, right? That heat wave is really going to hit its peak on Thursday, right? Wednesday into Thursday, that's the worst of the heat wave. Then we start to gradually trend back down and get a little cooler, still hot, but cooler as we get into the weekend and early next week. With that cool down, though, we also have some rain returning to the forecast. Again, not a washout, but I think today and tomorrow might be the last days where we don't have rain anywhere in the tri-state. By Thursday afternoon, we have those just pop-up storms starting to develop in the heat of the afternoon into the evening. Usually what happens is when you get into the afternoon, you get these clouds that start to bubble up. A few of them turn into isolated showers and storms. Then as the sun begins to set, they basically lose their energy and they rain themselves back out. Then the next day, you repeat the same pattern where you get these pop-up storms in the afternoon. Then they kind of wane as you get into the evening. And I think that'll largely be the pattern on into this weekend too. So again, keep that in mind. Not a total washout, but there is a chance you could get caught in a shower or even a thunderstorm as we go through the holiday weekend. The extended outlook then does show near average precipitation as we get into the middle and end of next week with some wetter weather down to our south and some drier weather off to our northwest there. The temperature outlook still shows near to maybe slightly above average temperatures though. So our normal highs this time of year would be in the upper 80s. It seems like we're going to be hovering in the upper 80s to near 90 through most of next week. So again, that is some relief, but it's still going to be pretty steamy out there. Checking in on the comments here. Good afternoon, David and Ricky. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm not seeing any questions about the forecast, so I'm going to give us one more recap and then I'm going to wrap this up. These alert days today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, those are for the heat. We are under an extreme heat warning until 8 p.m. on Friday. All three of these days, we're looking at highs in the low to maybe even mid 90s. Heat index up over 105, which is considered dangerously hot. So it's not just going to be hot, it's going to be miserably humid, which really increases the risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So please, have some self-awareness. If you start to notice kind of a brain fog, maybe a decrease in your dexterity, if you're having trouble with fine motor skills, you're getting dizzy or confused, these are all signs that your body is overheating and you need to get somewhere cool and drink some water very soon. Okay, so check in on your friends, your family, your neighbors, especially the elderly. Make sure everybody's holding up okay in this heat. Your air conditioners are also going to be working overtime, so keep that in mind. Check in and make sure, especially elderly neighbors and things like that, make sure their AC is working okay and it's not getting too hot in their house. As we get into the weekend, the heat wave starts to break, but we're still talking about highs in the low 90s and a heat index probably up around 100 to 103. So outside of that extreme danger zone, but still really steamy, even into the holiday weekend here. Thursday and Friday, we start to see these very isolated chances for a pop-up shower or storm in the afternoon, and then better chances as we get into the weekend. So maybe have a backup plan for some rain for any weekend activities here for the 4th of July holiday. A good chunk of the day will probably be dry, but there's still that chance at some point, especially in the afternoon and evening, you may get caught under a shower or storm. So just be prepared for that. And we see this kind of unsettled weather pattern where you have these daily chances for rain then continuing into the start of next week. As I mentioned earlier for Zach, while there is the chance that we could see a few pockets of heavy rain, some rumbles of thunder, as of right now, we're not expecting severe weather from any of this. So you may get rain, maybe even a thunderstorm, and lightning can still be very dangerous if you're outside, especially if you're in a pool. You got to get everybody out and move inside, but we're not expecting severe weather that would cause damage and things like that as we go through this weekend and into early next week, even though there is a daily chance for storms. And if there are no questions, that's going to wrap it up for me. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lyons will have another look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10. And he'll do another streaming show here tonight at 9. So I hope you'll join him for that then. Again, check on your families, your friends, your neighbors, especially the elderly. Everybody drink lots of water. Do your best to stay cool and stay safe out there.